Hello, beautiful boss babes. Are you ready to chase life with Kelly? Well, I'm your host, Kelly Chase, and I'm so excited you're here. We are going to talk about all things love, dating, relationships, money mindset. We're going to dive deep into self-love, worthiness. I am going to bring on some incredibly empowering guests. We're going to have fun, we're going to laugh, and perhaps we're even going to shed some tears together. I am here to empower you, inspire you, and motivate you to create the life you crave. I am so excited for today's episode. Let's dive in. Hi, babes. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to tell you about a holiday special that I am offering for my coaching. So there is a private, very intimate group coaching program that is going to last for 4 weeks. We will begin this Wednesday, November 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then it will proceed every Wednesday until December 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling burnt out, if you are feeling really disconnected, this program is for you. It will be a live coaching starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, as well as a Q&A. So might last an hour, might be 2 hours, not sure, but we'll probably cap it at about 2 hours though to get everyone's questions answered. And your question may be someone else's question too. So, but we are going to really dive deep into what exactly is keeping you stuck with your career, your business, your relationships, your life overall. I will leave it at that. What I am offering, okay, this is probably valued over $3,000 and I'm literally giving it to you for $111. It's 4 weeks. Again, that could be 60 minutes, 2 hours worth of coaching and Q&A, helping you to remove the blocks and get unstuck. So 4 times from November 30th until December 21st, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I cannot wait to see you inside of this private group coaching. The link to sign up will be in the show notes of this episode, as well as you can always send me an email. It's chaselifewithkellyc@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM on Instagram and just send me a DM with the word goddess, and I will know that you are interested in being a part of this 4-week private group coaching program. Let's get this needle moving forward. Let's help you get unstuck, and let's help you discover actually why you are stuck so that we aren't living those same cyclical behaviors going into 2023 and your life begins to radically shift and improve and expand for you. So yeah. And now we go into today's episode. See you in the group coaching. Hello, my wonderful listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in each week. And I'm so excited for today's episode. I think it's really going to impact your life in a lot of ways. And most importantly, really expand you. Because that's what this woman has done in my life. And I've only known her a short few months. So, but yeah, so she is a spiritual business strategist, money mentor, and astrologist?
Yeah, astrologer. Astrologist works too, but astrologer.
Amazing. Welcome to the Chase Life with Kelly show. This is Natalia Benson, everyone. Hello.
Kelly, I'm so honored to be here with you, my love. And meeting you was like the coolest thing ever.
It was so cool. It was so cool. It's so interesting. So how Natalia and I met, I was actually out visiting friends in Laguna, California, and a friend of mine owns a Pilates studio out there. And so I was like, I had been out there for like a week and a half already. And I was like, I've got to go see Christy. I've got to go see Christy. And so I took her like Pilates class in studio. And then I was like, I'm going to go take the beach one because I really wanted to do it on Pilates on the beach. Like, how cool is that? Right. So I go to the beach Pilates class and I happened to sit right next to Natalia, and we did a partner exercise. So we did some Pilates excerpt partner workout together, and she just had this beautiful energy about her. And then we all kind of just started talking afterwards. And she was just, you just have such a like beautiful like voice and just soft yet fierce aura about you. And anyways, we connected online and I saw what she was doing. And I've just been following her journey since, and I've taken one of her master classes, which was probably one of the most powerful master classes that I've ever taken. Like I cried. It was again so expansive. But yeah, so I love how God universe just puts people in your life in the most unexpected ways sometimes.
Babe. And I feel like when I saw you, I was really drawn to you and I didn't know why. And sometimes you just have people that you see and you're just like, oh, like it's inexplainable, right? And I feel like that's the power of intuition and the power of God uni, like working through us. And it was just so powerful. And I remember Christy like announced you and you were like, you're like, even though you're a Leo, you're like, okay, just came here to take Pilates. Like, thank you so much. And I just was like, oh my God. And if I can mention, I remember seeing you on the show and being so drawn to you and just feeling your heart in what I could imagine was a highly pressurized situation and just feeling you so strong. And then the fact that I ended up meeting you was just such a trip. And it just reminded me how guided we are. And sometimes when we're inspired by another person, whether we ever get the chance to meet them or not, there's a reason that they like come into our field. So I just think that's really profound.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. Thank you so much for sharing.
I know, it's my honor, babe. So yeah, I'm super excited and I'm so honored you came to the masterclass. When I saw you coming in, I was like, Kelly's here. I was like, shut up. Like that was so much fun. I have the best time teaching. It's like, it's just such a sacred space, I feel. And as you could I'm sure experience in that class, there's so much love and support. Yeah. I feel like women learning together. I don't know why I'm just so, I don't even actually, I shouldn't say I don't know why. I do know why, but I'm just so activated by that. It's just the coolest thing. I love learning, but I have a Sag moon. So there's an astrological reason for my obsession, but.
No, it's so true though. Like I've had a Facebook group for years. I mean, probably since I started my health coaching business in 2013. Like I was like, oh, I need to like start a Facebook group and like just have support, right? And like post my like nutrition and like food pics and all of that. And not to say that this hasn't come across my mind, but it just recently, like literally in the last like 12 hours, came back in orbit to be like, wow, you know what? The real reason why I created this group is because I want to have a space for people to go that are on similar like-minded journeys. Yes. Where in their real world maybe aren't as supported. People don't get it. They don't understand the journey. And therefore this is just a more intimate space where people can feel seen and feel heard and feel validated for who they are and what they're desiring in life. And everyone can just lift them up and inspire them.
The internet is, of course, I always say the internet and social media is like a hammer. It's like a tool. You can either use the tool to hang up a picture and make your home look beautiful, or you can use the tool to hit yourself in the head and knock yourself out. So social media and the internet's kind of the same. It's this tool that's like, how do you use it? And I feel like the way that we have the opportunity and the privilege of using it, especially to connect with one another, is because let's say there was a time where you and I met and we wouldn't have this opportunity to get to know one another. That's all thanks to the internet and to be inspired by one another and empowered by one another. So I'm very grateful for Wi-Fi, grateful for what Wi-Fi can do, grateful for the good it can do.
Exactly. Yeah. But yes, back to your masterclass, it was so empowering. And I felt the energy like through my computer and it was just like so powerful. It was so powerful. When you had us do the exercise with our phones, I like Tear City, like I was like, oh my God, like I've done mirror work. I've done that, but like just, it was so cool. So Oh my
That
God.
makes
Yeah.
me so happy. And Kelly, I already told you this, but I'm sitting out on my patio in Laguna Beach and there's so many sounds out here. So this is my current podcasting studio. So I
Yeah.
hope there's not too many sounds, but
No, yeah, I can't hear anything except for you. So you're
okay, good. Thank God. I was like, no.
it's all good. So, okay, so I would love for you to tell us a bit about you and your story, and like how you even got into this work, what you do in general. But yeah, like I mean, I know you used to DJ.
Yes. That's I've had a multitude of careers in my short 35 years. So, well, first things first, I always like to say I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, so I'm from the desert. I never really anticipated doing any of this. My original idea about my potential was that I was just supposed to make myself so perfect that someone would marry me and take care of me. So that used to be my
Oh,
attitude about life and sort of what I was modeled to in my young life. Not anything specific my family ever said or anyone ever said. That was sort of my internal dialogue was like, I didn't, I kind of knew that I had something powerful inside of me, but when you're young, you don't really understand. So you kind of just go with the dominant ideas of what's around you, whether collectively or in your community. So when I moved to California when I was 18, um, I had a little bit of a massive ego death, which then led me, and I always say this in air quotes because I don't take myself seriously at all. But I had a spiritual awakening of sorts where a piece of my ego and my old identity and my old ideas about what was possible kind of died. And I opened up to the possibility that I have a soul and that there's something more than just my own mind and something more than what everybody's told me I'm supposed to be. So I started my first business at 19, right around that time of waking up spiritually, so to speak. And I had that business until I was 27. It was never what we would call successful. And I always like to say, for me, success is more of a feeling. I think it's a self defined thing. It's not just, oh, you make this much money or you have these things like we've been told. It's also, how do you feel? And so for me, with that business, I never had the numbers on the board or the good feelings because I lacked confidence. But what was so perfect in starting that business so young, I mean, I was in college and like getting PayPal payments for my jewelry and like talking to stylists. Like, I was like, this is cool. I was like, this is my vibe. Like, I was not that into school at all. I asked my parents to quit 25 times, but all the while, the reason I started that business was because my dad scared me so much about money. And God bless him. And we have the most amazing relationship now. But he, that was a little bit of a catalyst for me because I was like, I don't want to ask these people for money anymore. I was like, I don't want to be beholden to anybody else financially. And so starting that business at 19, carrying it through to 27, and starting a multitude of little businesses and projects and side hustles, so to speak, in my 20s, that was where I really got into entrepreneurship and the idea of creating my own revenue streams. All the while, I was exploring myself spiritually. I had substance and alcohol addiction for about 2 years, which then really guided me home to heal even more deeply. It wasn't until my later 20s and early 30s that I learned about trauma and the impact of trauma and why I had those addictions. But at the same time, it was this perfect storm for me to like wake up to myself. And sometimes I think that and not even sometimes, this is what I believe for myself personally. If I didn't have those spaces of darkness and challenge, I don't think I would be as passionate about what I'm doing now. I don't think I would have ever had the drive to do anything beyond what I was told I was supposed to do. And so as this has evolved, I started studying astrology when I had this substance and alcohol addiction. I started studying tarot. I started to get to know the subconscious through Kundalini yoga and reading money books. I had no idea that all these authors talking about money, they're all talking about the subconscious. And I was like, what in the hell does this have to do with anything? Like, why is the subconscious talked about in every money book that I was picking up? Even the most sort of like, I don't know, secular kind of books, they talk about the subconscious. So this all, came together over time. I did the DJ thing. I toured. I played a lot in Atlanta, ironically. I played there like 3 times, which was really cool. I'd never been there before. I was, Arizona girl. But I just sort of had all these different things. And the reason I mention all of this is because it all came together when I was 31. All of the study, all of the challenges, the experience working with women one-to-one since I was 23, because I did astrology and tarot from that age onward. And it all just came together. And one day I was like, I want to quit this corporate job. This doesn't feel right to me. And I want to coach people because I think I can do this and I'm just going to go for it. And so here we are 4 years later, and I just sort of dove in and I brought together all of my experiences into the tools that I now mentor with. And more specifically, in the last 2 years, I really focus on women in business, financial empowerment, rooted in natal chart astrology. So I tell you that sounds like a whole modge podge of things, but I think that the deep root of it is like, oh my God, we can think we're like meandering through life and we're kind of like, why am I interested in this? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? But it's all coming through to serve us. And one day it will make sense if we stay committed to the process. So that's really a little bit of my backstory. That's probably the most succinctly I've ever told it, which is
You're good flow.
That was good. That was good. I'm like, that's it, under 5 minutes. So we're good.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's funny because I want to say like my journey began about like kind of the nudge was in 2017, but 2018 was when I started to actually like read more personal development books and really start to make bigger changes. The middle of 2017, I left my corporate job to pursue my coaching full time. And, but I also was just like, I didn't know what anything meant. I just knew I couldn't do what I was doing anymore.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like 2018, the first half of 2018 came, and that's when, I invested in my first like mastermind program or, group coaching program more or less. And it was very beneficial. And then we filmed Love is Blind. And then I felt like I, reversed my life 10 years and so much crap came up. That was my first time investing in like a one-on-one coach. And the reason I even decided to work with this girl was because she was actually one of the co-coaches in that previous group coaching program.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she something inside of me awakened while I was learning from her. And because it wasn't just strategy. She was talking more of like the feminine energy and the subconscious mind and all that. And I was like, what is this? Tell me more. So I knew I had to like work with her in some capacity. And I was like private one-on-one. And of course, because of like the chaos that was going on in my mind, what do? We always like go to like avoid that because, I wasn't in the place of like feeling my emotions. I didn't want to feel anymore. So I was like, let's go all in on my business stuff. And so I did, but it was like the first like session, probably she like totally just like inner child, like just went like
cracked it open. She's like, sorry, you're not going to avoid it here. Let's go.
Yeah. So it was like a profound like 4 months working with her. And so that like 2018 and 19, and since it's just been learning more and more and studying about the mindset and financial empowerment myself, learning about money mindset and everything. And, I feel that I'm in that place. What you said, it like came together for you.
Yeah.
I feel like it has, while also there's like this next level of like no, it's cut. Like that was just like a taste of it, Kelly. Like it's about to really come together for you, and you'll understand why the things that haven't worked or that aren't working out for you or whatever, you'll know why.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
really cool to like, I mean, I had a sticky note on my mirror for like a year and a half. It read patience.
Yes. Oh my God. My favorite word. My favorite word. And I feel like only as we get into our 30s do we appreciate that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
used to be like, shut up with the P word. I don't want to hear the P word. But the patience word is so real. It's so,
yeah,
so, so enriching if you really let it land in your life.
it really is. It's like really cool to just like embody it. And I know, and to have the awareness of it when I'm being impatient now, I'm like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. I'm like, Kelly, you don't need to do anything. Calm down. It's fine.
Do you know I'm obsessed with language and the word need? Have you ever heard of Jack Canfield?
Yes, I've heard of him.
So he has a chapter in Dave Asprey's book, Game Changers, and he talks about the four weasel words.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is need and saying, I need. He's like, cut, I need, and I can't, or I'm trying, or I hope completely out of your thing. Because you just caught that, like, without even hearing about this, but like replacing the word need, because it's just unnecessary pressure on
Right.
all sides when we are like, oh, I need to do this. It's like, actually, what if I get to do this? It brings a whole other spaciousness to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know it's a different little vibration too. I mean, it's coming from a place of gratitude and abundance. It's just, I love it. Okay. So tell us, as far as like the financial empowerment, you say being rooted in astrology, right? So can you explain more
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, some of it for sure. So I always like to say that with financial empowerment, there's two sides of the coin. And that's just me being dorky and having puns because I love a pun. But two sides of the coin of money. So there's the energetic emotional, and then there's the what I like to call the practical tactical. So on the energetic emotional, that's our subconscious. That's our early stories about money. I don't know how esoteric you want me to get here, but if anyone's open to the concept of past lives, even things that we bring through at that soul level that we've experienced, or things that have occurred in our lineage as it relates to money. Um, this is also how we relate to money energetically. What is the emotional charge around money? Is it one that feels expansive, or is it one that feels constrictive, painful, like it was for me, thanks to my sweet Papa Bear? He's an accountant, retired CFO. So he had a whole other relationship to money.
Yeah.
And learning about your parents' money stories, if you feel open to talking to them,
Yeah.
asking them what they experienced when they were young as it related to money. Did they ever have certain experience? Like it really helps you understand
Yeah.
your own subconscious, because not that I'm any kind of expert on like the brain or neuroplasticity or epigenetics, but it's powerful when we get to know at just more of that energetic emotional level what surrounded me when I was young. Because here's the thing, our subconscious is forming from in utero to 7, 8, or 9 years old. This is like Joe Dispenza and Dr. Oh, I'm spacing on his name right now. I'll look it up before we're done. But it's very powerful when we get to know, like, what was I surrounded by at that time? Because no matter what, money was somehow on the table. So if you want to just get really practical, tactical with the energetic or emotional healing, ask your family what was going on in your young life, or even in utero. I asked my mom, I was like, do you recall anything that was going on in my when you were pregnant with me? My mom said no. And then I asked my dad, he goes, oh yeah. He's like, I was being indicted by the federal government for something that they found me innocent for, but there was a big thing on the books that was they basically got picked by the federal government to have this massive audit. And the old guy that was in charge left kind of a bit of a mess. And then my dad was there to like fix it, take care of it. But he said it was a massive time of stress. So it's interesting to understand these things. And I won't get into my own story with that, but that's just an example. Now, bringing in the astrology piece with the emotional energetic, you can get to know, where's your Venus placement? How is your Venus aspected? What's going on in your second house of money, your 10th house of career? What's going on in your fourth house? There's so many. This is what I get obsessed with. Because when I first started studying astrology, I was interested in money, but I was more so interested in prosperity. All I knew about money at the time was that I didn't have any and I didn't know really how to make it. So I didn't really think and tie astrology to money. But as I've moved through and evolved my work, I've done a lot of just self-inquiry. It's been powerful to see how my chart has animated my money and my business. And that's what I'm so passionate about teaching now. Like we did in that masterclass, where just taking a look at that Venus placement, what's our relationship to money? What's a way that we can creatively create value in the lives of others? And we look at our astrological blueprint for that. Now, the tactical, practical side of financial empowerment is what we actually do. I like to say the emotional, energetic side of the coin is who we be, and the practical, tactical is what we actually do to help money feel grounded, safe, and organized in our life. Because money has rules, just like the earth has rules. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. If you fall down the stairs, it doesn't really matter who you are, what is going on in your life, what you believe. If you fall down the stairs, you're going to fall down to the bottom of the stairs most likely because of the little thing called gravity. Well, money has rules too. And there's certain things that money will ask of you. One thing that I have found through my time studying money and studying myself most of all is that money really likes clarity and organization. I used to be the kind of person where I was like, I'm just going to manifest. I'm just going to pray at 11:11 every day that God just drops 3 million into my bank account. That used to be my thing. I mean, I literally would talk like that all the time. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but it was like, I did that for years. And I just was like, this is how it's going to work. And it's going to bend to my will. And while, yes, manifestation is powerful, I love these money manifestation conversations, but it falls short when we don't have the other side of the coin, the organization, the clarity, and the idea that we've got to respect and honor money by taking care of it. Money has to feel safe in our care. And this is why I don't just teach money management. This is why I don't just teach energetics and healing with money, because we truly need both. And I think the astrology makes it more approachable for people, especially if they have, as my friend Julieta Bodo says, any kind of financial trauma. Sometimes the trauma isn't because you didn't have any, it's because you had, and everyone told you there wasn't any. A lot of scarcity. That was the story for my family. It like didn't matter what was going on or how abundant it seemed. It was like, when's it all going to go away? So that has been my biggest subconscious route to heal. And then the money management. But I always say our challenge is our invitation. So whatever has really pressurized us in our life, it's so cool how it actually can be something that guides us and helps us heal.
I love that. I love that so much. And to your point, like I've been learning so much about, I mean, that one girl was the first coach that ever like introduced all that to me. And I was like, what? So I have my money dates set up like like the 15th and 25th or the 10th and 15th of every month. I go in and I look at my money and my accounts and, whatever, and just send it.
Did you read Profit First by chance?
I have not read that, but I have read, I read a couple of like Robert Kiyosaki books and Secrets of Millionaire Mind. That was
my favorite. That is the book that started everything for me.
Yeah. I want to say, again, kind of like how people just kind of like come in your life for like divine timing. But I was at a I was at like a TJ Maxx one day, and this woman,
Where all powerful moments can occur.
yes, like, well, this woman approaches me, and I'm thinking she's like, and no offense, but like, so like a Mary Kay consultant, like they just like approach you in like the most random places. No offense to a Mary Kay consultant, like you got balls to do that. But this woman approached me, and she was like, I just like, I don't know, I feel like I like called to share this opportunity with you, and I don't know why, but I just like felt led to continue to move forward with this conversation. So she's like, transfers phone number, tells me to like come meet her and her husband at a coffee shop, like in a public place, like all good. And I was like, okay. So I go, and they're like, yeah, just like come meet us to talk about this and this opportunity. And I was like, okay, because she really didn't give me the opportunity. Like she just said she had something and whatever, which is interesting. So I go, and he gives me a book, and it was Robert Kiyosaki's like Business of the 21st Century book. So this was the first like introducing how money kind of works book. And it's like 100 pages, maybe, if that. And anyway, so he was like, and he gave me like time commitments, like, okay, read this in the next 48 hours, and then we're going to talk again. And anyway, so that happened. And I read the book, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm living in this like 1 and 2 quadrant, and there's a 3 and 4 quadrant. Like I need to shift down here. I want to shift down here.
Wow.
It was just interesting. It opened me up to Robert Kiyosaki. And then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, then The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I never pursued the opportunity that they were, doing, but that was like a message that I needed to hear. And then I like moved on my journey, but it was so cool. But now I'm like, so I freaking love, I've taught, there's a girl here in Atlanta too, who she's actually a financial advisor. Yeah. And she held a workshop earlier this year, and she taught the strategy. She taught what was it? Practical, tactical. She taught that. And she brought me in to teach about the subconscious and how the money works and all of that, like beautiful. On the level that I have learned to this point, and it was so fun and so empowering. And I was like, this is great. But it really is. It's so neat learning about money, and just like, the gratitude. If you can start living your life in more gratitude with like everything that you get to do, and even the things that make no sense at all. Like what? You have a money date? Like you're what? You have like candles, you have like a whole thing going on.
Oh my God. When I heard about people doing that in my 20s, I was like, have y'all gone crazy? I'm like, you're setting up candles and having a glass of wine, like looking at your money, like, no, thank you. But as I don't know, like just healed that relationship. Like I actually have a course called Heal Your Money, because that's been my journey, is healing that relationship and treating it like a relationship. Because if we want to take it to physics, and God bless my amazing husband, he is a Capricorn with a Pisces moon. So he's like equal parts, super logical and very soulful, which is just the perfect mix for me. Somebody to ground me, but also not think I'm totally nuts. So it's perfect. But I just remember he's really dropped a lot of wisdom about physics and how it works, because he loves it. Like his man literally reads physics books. Like I'm like, are you reading a book about blah, 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 like physics one, whatever? And he's like, oh yeah, that's like my nighttime reading. But what I find so powerful is the idea that energy, everything in the manifest universe is cultivated from energy, from energetics. And why is money exempt from that? Mm-hmm. So if we can impact the energy of ourselves, why doesn't money fall into that? Why don't relationships fall into that? Everything falls into, this is at least how I see the world. And it's been extremely healing and empowering for me. But it's really come to the space of being like, wow, if I can, something I like to teach my babes is I'll be like, listen, if you want to shift the numbers, shift the energy, work with your energy first. Now, this doesn't mean you only work with your energy, because there's other things you have to actually do. There's a law in the universe called the law of action. It's not just the law of attraction. Law of attraction's fun, and it obviously got really popular with The Secret. I watched The Secret on VHS. Did you? Like, or maybe DVD. It was
Yeah, DVD.
DVD. And I remember one of my old friends giving it to me when I was literally 19, and I avoided watching it forever. And then I finally watched it and I was like, this is a trip. But then many years later, started learning the other 11 laws. There's 12 laws, and one of them is the law of action. And so that's what's so beautiful is, yes, can we attract and magnetize? Of course, but it's the action. I always say we have to meet the universe halfway. And this is where I think the conversation about money can be very healing, because it's not just, have you talked to your financial advisor or did you manage your money? It's, how do you feel about money? How do you feel about the money you have? How do you feel about the money that can come to you? And this is obviously it's a very privileged conversation, because there is so much going on in the world where my intention while I'm on this planet is like, how many people can I share this information with? And how many people can heal? Because I think that money feels like, what's the saying, that money's the root of all evil? But does it need to be that? I think money is a neutral tool. And one of my missions is, what happens when people who want good for their lives and good for others hold stability and hold wealth? How can that tool be utilized? So I think I'm excited for what's possible, and I'm happy I never gave up on this, because there were so many moments where I was like, why am I learning this? I used to tell myself, I'm never going to get this. Money isn't for people like me. That used to be my story. And yeah, it's just been a journey of healing. And I think the reason we go through the things that challenge us is so we can help others. So they don't have to go through the same long, dark night of the soul to get to the same result or the same outcome or perspective.
Absolutely. I know.
Yeah.
I love that.
It
is big. I do. I love that. It's funny because I feel like I've worked ever since that first experience. I've learned a lot of the energetics and the mindset behind everything. And I found myself probably over the last 6 months, I'm like, okay, I really could probably use the strategy and like the structure and everything. And so that was a part of like one of the reasons why I did join that masterclass of yours. Because I knew you would bring all the energetics with it, but just sharing about the structure and, how to, with incorporating the patients and not feeling like you need to like launch every 2 seconds and, all that. It was very like humbling and grounding for me, and just, again, reminding me again to just be patient and, but it's like, you have so much, like, if we all have such powerful messages to share, and it's like, how can I do this like every day and get this message out, whether it's a money exchange or a podcast, doing this like on a podcast or talking to my Instagram stories or creating YouTube videos or like whatever. It's like, I just want to keep talking about it because it creates an impact out there. And it at least if it touches one person, just like someone back in 2017 touched me, it's like, it can affect just one person and help them expand and heal, then wonderful. While you continue to share, I feel like you yourself are continuing that healing journey.
Oh my God. I feel like this work, from my perspective, is so awesome because it gives to the giver and to the receiver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, every time we are willing to share, and that can be vulnerable, because sometimes what we share when it comes to healing can not only be vulnerable, but it also can go against the grain about what's talked about. I've been talking about money healing and money energetics along with the structure and the money management for a couple of years. And I mean, I've gotten some fascinating messages, and not all of them very nice, because it really triggers people's own wounding around the systems that we live within, as well as their whatever's gone on for them with money. And it's really powerful stuff. But I think that that's why like I'm passionate about the idea of like conscious leadership, because leadership means you lead. It's not always easy. Like you go first,
Right.
and it is vulnerable. But I think that as Brene Brown says, like through vulnerability, like that's our greatest life experience. And it, like I mentioned, it gives to the giver and to the receiver. It's just magic. It's
Yeah.
really special, special time we're in to have conversations like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. It's so cool. What? Okay. So just if you can, this was really neat, like to hear, and I know that we need charts and everything, but you paid attention, you had us pay attention to our Venus, like where
Yes.
things were. So can you
Yeah,
explain why we look at the Venus and
of course. Oh yeah. So in the I teach Western astrology, so based on the tropical zodiac. So it's based on the seasons. There's lots of different ways to approach the astrological system. So that's the way that I utilize it. And in the Western system, Venus can represent a lot of things, but most readily, it represents like our feminine receptive, and not by gender, but more by polarity, that more receptive quality, creative quality. Venus also represents money in the Western system of astrology. It represents what we value. And I study and also teach a little something called like esoteric astrology, where we don't just take like the mundane definitions, but rather more, again, those energetic, emotional. And so with Venus, I also see Venus as the way that we magnetize, the way that we create value both in our lives and the lives of others, and really like what we appreciate about life. Now, how many of us want to make money in a way that sounds and feels aligned with those things, what we appreciate, what we value, being in that more receptive quality of creativity? And with the Venus, what we want to do is we can actually take a look and see, where is my Venus placed in the chart? What are some ways that I could make money that feel aligned for me, that actually feel on purpose for me? Because I believe that when we are moving from the soul and not just the mind, not just the shoulds, that is a fulfilling, successful life. And
Yeah.
things feel good because you're not doing what you think you should do or what everybody told you you should do or what's expected. You're doing what feels authentically good and authentically enriching. Doesn't mean it's going to come easy, but
Mhm.
it's worth it. And so with that Venus placement, we can literally look and see, what is the zodiac sign that Venus is placed in? And as we learned about that night, the archetype of that sign. Then what does the house represent? And that could give you like clues on ways for you to express your highest money making capacity or your highest calling to create value for other people. My Venus is in Pisces in the second house of money, ironically, but not ironically, because here I am, a spiritual money teacher, essentially, an empathetic money teacher. So, what is the archetype of Pisces? So, Pisces is the creative, Pisces is the empath, and Pisces is, for lack of a better word, the spiritualist, is someone who just sort of sees beyond the material and kind of brings us into the etheric. The
Mhm.
second house is ruled by Taurus. It rules money, material belongings, what we own, what we value, and business structure and money structure. Well, what this whole conversation is that, right? And I have a membership called Magical Women in Money, and it's rooted in that Venus placement. And that is not only something I'm deeply passionate about, but it's one of the most successful pieces of our entire business. And that's my Venus placement expressing itself. I
Mm.
also have another way that we can look at money. So we can look at the second house, as I mentioned earlier in our charts, and we can look at the zodiac signs that are what I like to call traversing. And for someone who knows astrology, traditionally this is called the house ruler, but I take it a step further because I'm an Aries and be a little bit of a rebel sometimes. I'm like, let's take this a step further. Um, where we look at the sign that rules, but also the sign that traverses, and we can get an idea of how to relate to money. So for me, I have Aquarius and Pisces. So what I would do is I would look at the archetypes of Aquarius and the archetypes of Pisces. And that's going to give me, again, more information on how I relate to this part of my life, how I can activate this part of my life. So how's this land, babe? Do you remember this part? Do you remember what yours was?
Mine was, I want to say it was Venus and Mars or Mercury. I have it written.
No, because those are other planets. So I can look at your chart really quickly if you know your info.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's look at this.
I'd actually love to look at your chart anyway, so let's do it.
I'm like, what was I? I'm like, I know I wrote it down somewhere. I was like all up in the note taken on your
You're like, I don't even remember. Wait, where were you born, my love?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, so Georgia. Next, Atlanta. Okay, and then what day are you born?
I was born on Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your full birth date.
Oh, July 23rd, 85.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so July 23rd, 1985. And then what time?
I believe it was 8. Let me double check, but I think it was 8.
Having the time, and this is for everybody listening too, having the exact time is super important. And if you don't know your exact time, see if you can get a hold of your birth certificate. If not, you can do an unknown time chart, but you're not going to get the exact accurate house placements. But you'll still get some information. Yes. What's your time of birth?
8:38 a.m.
Amazing. Okie dokie. Let's see here. I'm so excited. Okay, so you are a Leo ascendant. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You look like a Leo ascendant, but you're also a Leo. So okay, so you have, let's see. And Kelly, no wonder you're open to all of this too, because you're a 12th house sun. And 12th house is like it's about the subconscious, like the emotional, energetic we're talking about. That's the 12th house. So the 12th house, very spiritual, very soulful, very deep, very sensitive. It also conjuncts your Mars. So definitely that's interesting because Mars conjunct your sun's very activating. Do you feel like you're kind of a restless person? Like, do you need to be doing a lot? This could also be something you've evolved out of over time because this is your natal chart.
Yes, yes, I do feel like I have to be doing something all the time. However, yes, I am evolving out of that too and allowing myself to rest and, get more into the feminine than being so much in the masculine energy.
Exactly. Yeah. Because your Mars can represent the masculine.
Yeah.
Very much like the doing. But it's interesting because yours is also both in this 12th house, which is very soulful, very deep. And it could even be like your pursuit of these things, like going as deep as you can or taking action on creating shift or change in this area of your life and going deeper, like not just settling with kind of the mundanities of life and just wanting to go deeper and go all the way in. And the beautiful thing about your Mars placement too, is that anytime you might be feeling stuck in life or like, where do I go next? Activate your Mars placement because your Mars is in Cancer, which is the energy of nurturance, and the 12th house is the energy of the soul. So retreating, time by yourself, water, like hydration, or even time in water or with bodies of water. I wonder if being out here in Laguna was really healing for you too.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, because that Cancer quality is very much oceanic. So let's see. So in your Venus placement, let me find it. So your Venus placement is in Gemini in your 10th house. Does this sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So Gemini is the archetype of the communicator, of someone who's meant to express themselves, share information. And then the 10th house is the house of career. it's the house of being seen.
Mm,
It's the house of building legacy and having long-term goals that you go for over time.
yeah.
So I love that. And a way for you, well, ironically, this actually makes a lot of sense too. A way for you to activate money magnetism, creating money in your life, making offers in your business is around sharing yourself, sharing information,
Mm-hmm.
and building a career out of, let's say, like the communication arts, which is pretty much what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another fun one, if you just want to go deeper for a second, is Jupiter. You can look to Jupiter to see where you have gifts and where you are meant to assist and expand other people, which is also great for creating abundance and prosperity in our lives. So Jupiter is in Aquarius. Aquarius is the archetype of the innovator and the change maker. And the sixth house, ironically, babe, is all about health and wellness,
Mm,
work-life balance, the body.
yeah.
It makes sense that also that's where you started and how it kind of is like evolved. It's probably still a tool you use,
Right.
but it's like doing it in your own way, evolving it in your own way, and utilizing it in your work now.
Mm, yeah.
I love this. Let me just see too. Is this helpful?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
We
totally.
just we
Oh.
just break into a full chart reading during our podcast.
Oh, I love
Why
it.
not? Why
No, it's
not?
so fun to like but I love that because it obviously I hope listeners, I hope that you will go
Oh yeah. And
check it
I think
out and get
it's cool to
to
hear other people, especially when people know
yeah.
you a bit and there's like, oh wow, that's a trip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's funny too, because just the other day, I I remembered that that the communicator, that's like
Yeah.
what I was here to do, right? And I'm like, okay, and what did I say at the beginning of our conversation? It's like I just want to like be always sharing information and sharing my story and like what are different avenues that I can do that to create the impact, that I'm here to
Yes.
do. Um,
Yes.
but I had, I recognize that I like spend a lot of time in my house, which doesn't allow me to like I used to be and still am a social person. Granted, over time, I've recognized that some of that social time was people pleasing, and therefore I just have to
Mm,
retreat and like have my me time.
yes.
But now it's like I've recognized that I like retreated too much. So I have to like go out and I'm like, how am I going? Like, I feel like one of my biggest strengths is, well, one, communicating, but two, like that in-person connection and just having
Yes.
that. So, and you never know the opportunities that, whether you can offer to someone and they reciprocate and offer back to you, so it's like,
Yes.
I just want to like, and I went to an event last night and I met a few people and like, it was just so nice. And
Kelly,
loved it.
you are like one of the most warm, kind people I've ever met. And I can imagine when people meet you, it's kind of like it was for me. There, you just have a magnetism to you, and your heart is just very, for anyone who hasn't met Kelly in person, like you just have this warmth to you that's really, it's really beautiful. And I think it can be rare for people who are obviously very powerful, but still very kind and soft. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We've kind of been told power. I think you mentioned that about me too, which is the biggest compliment, that kind of fierce softness.
Yeah.
And we're kind of modeled one or the other. So I think that's just really special. So yeah, but you've got that 12th house sun, babe. So I can imagine that time with you and time alone, it's actually powerful that you went on to do such a public thing with doing the show, because the 12th house, well, you have actually quite a bit on top of your chart. You are meant to be seen, but I can imagine that was also still very intense because a 12th house sun is a very sensitive placement for the sun. And
Mhm.
it's not exactly the number one of like, yeah, I want to be the center of attention or I want to have millions of people like onlooking. It's just kind of like that was probably your north node is conjunct your midheaven. So you are meant to be seen and you are meant to guide at a really big level. But your 12th house, let me see if it's aspecting. Let me see. But your 12th house is a little bit like, wait, don't look at me too much. You know what I mean? But your north node is like, no, go this way. Like you're actually meant to be seen and you're meant to shake things up because your Uranus is also conjuncting. This might sound like a totally different language, but this is the cool part about astrology is we really get to see like the blueprint of, what it is that we're here to do and how it is that we can get out of our comfort zone, because I think that the soul craves growth. It wants growth and experiences. And that's kind of why we come here, and that's why I love astrology, because it gives us a bit of a roadmap while not telling us what to do. It gives us this idea of just like, oh, this is how I can embody and understand the context of both opportunities and challenges in my life experience.
Absolutely. I love that. Learning is so great, guys.
We love to learn. Now that I know more of your chart, I can see how much you like to learn too.
Well, it's so crazy because like I was like a Cliff Notes person in high school and college. Like I just read the books. Like, I mean, granted, they were like fiction or whatever, like, but I just like was never a reader. And then it was like 2017. I read, someone had introduced me to the book, like Me Before You. And yeah. And so it was that. And then also, maybe a couple months later, I read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. So that was like my first like personal development book, was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. But yeah, The Me Before You, I like literally couldn't put it down. And I was like,
what is that book about? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they made a movie out of it too. But it's a love story between obviously a man and a woman. The man becomes a like paraplegic, and then like he doesn't want to live anymore, basically.
Wow.
And so it's me before you. Like he puts himself first.
Wow.
While also not in like the best way. And it's a really sad book actually, but like also like beautiful love story in the same time. Oh
my God, babe.
But it was like so captivating for me.
But it's interesting the things we're drawn to and how they wake us up to all of the myriad of experiences that are available while we're alive. You know what I mean? And just the things that wake us up to be more, perhaps live life with more depth or to evolve. Right. And sometimes it's not through direct experience. Oftentimes it is, but sometimes it's just by the things we're exposed to. So that sounds like it was a powerful, like, turn the corner moment for you.
Yeah. And then that Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, it was like, that was it. And I was like, And then someone gave me, mentioned another book, and I was like, okay. And so, I mean, I've read more personal development books than the other kind, but
same.
But I try to find books like that I can just more leisure books.
That's great, babe. Good job. I know I am like I'm an audiobook fiend. We're in Mercury retrograde right now. So I have to say, very interesting, this is very rare for me. Lately, I've been like, what do I want to read? Like, I'm not really reading anything right now. I went back to listen to parts of Psychology of Money by Morgan. I think his last name is Hubble, maybe. But I'm like, I don't really know what I want to read right now, which is really rare for me because I love reading and I never read anything nonfiction. I am literally like, I never read anything fiction. I always read like, how can this book make me a better person or help me learn something? Like, I'm just obsessed, but I think it's good. That's why for me, checking out a little bit and like watching home design shows on Netflix is my vibe. And then like Love is Blind too. So, like just like, I'm like, I want to watch things that just kind of pique my interest and make me think about life. But then when I read, I'm like, what can I read or listen to that's going to like really make me think and make me better?
I agree. Absolutely.
God bless books. It's all about the books.
All about the books.
And now podcasts.
I know, right? Seriously. Well, is there anything else you want to share before I wrap up?
No, this has been amazing. I hope this has been helpful. We went into a full astrology vortex for a second.
So fun. I love it. Like, tell me more. So good. Well, where can my listeners find you and work with you and all the things?
Yeah, please. So I'm super active on Instagram. It's at Natalia_Benson. My website is just nataliabenson.com. And I do have one thing that I think could be really special. And I'm gonna send you a discount link for this as well, Kel. But we offer these prosperity reports. And basically what we were just talking about, they're really powerful. It's a very simple yet powerful report on 3 prosperity placements inside of your natal chart. So if any of this piqued your interest about the astrology, how it lands for you on how to make money, create a fulfilling business, or just understand your purpose, that's what's inside those charts. So I will send you a link, Kelly, and then also send like a little discount code. And yeah, those are a lot of fun. And I also have a money membership, just magicalwomenandmoney.com, if you'd like to check that out.
Love that. That's so cool.
Yes. Yeah, we're having fun over here. We have a good time.
I'm sure. I mean, like, the master class is amazing. So I can't imagine. I mean, how
I know when I accidentally lip synced Dua Lipa and you guys couldn't even hear me. That was a classic envy moment. It was really funny.
It was so cute.
Thank you, my love. This has been fantastic. I'm so honored that I got to do this with you. And just like I said, meeting you has just been the absolute best. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right. I hope you loved today's episode. Remember, I am doing the holiday specials for $111. It's a 4-week program helping you to remove the blocks that are keeping you stuck in your love life, your career, business, and just life overall. Go ahead and DM me on Instagram at Chase Life with Kelly, or send me an email, or you can go to the show notes, the link in the show notes, and sign up. I will see you there. Bye. If you loved this episode, please download, share, rate, and review. If you are ready to step into that next level version of you and grow your business and bank account, it's time to unleash your goddess magic and chase life with Kelly. You can start this epic expansion journey by diving into the Goddess Magic course bundle found at chaselifetogether.com. Please connect with me on Instagram at Chase Life with Kelly. Join the Chase Life with Kelly Facebook community and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Till next time, create the life you crave, babe, and chase life with Kelly.